Why does it seem like more women are having a harder time getting pregnant these days? It seems as though our mothers and grandmothers 50 years ago were having an easier time getting pregnant. Or do we just think that? Let's get into all the facts. First, my name is Adetutu, and I am a board-certified nurse practitioner with a specialty in women's health. So I specialize in pregnancy care, postpartum care, gynecology, so all things related to women's health. And if that is of an interest to you, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about infertility and why it seems as if more women are having a harder time. We're going to talk about what might be the cause of this. We're going to talk about how fertility works and natural ways to go about in improving your fertility. So first, let's dive into the question. So are women having a harder time getting pregnant? So the answer is yes and no. And I'm going to break it down. I don't even want to go back 50 or 100 years. I'm going to go back to when I was born, which is in 1990. So in 1990, women were even having more babies than now. So there was about 77 to 1,000 women having live births. Compared to now, it's about 54 women out of 1,000 women are having babies. And the reason is simply because more of us women are focusing on our education and our careers, and the economy is not making it feasible to have babies younger. So technically, it's not that fertility is declining. It's just that we are waiting for later to have babies. So that's why it's a yes and no. The average age of first-time moms has increased from 21 to 27. And as you know, fertility declines with age. So then that leads to the question, why does it get harder as you get older? So unlike men, women are born with all the eggs we're going to have. So you have the most egg you'll ever have when you are in your mom's tummy. And when you were born, that automatically even decreases to about 2 million. And then when you reach puberty, that turns into like 500,000. And then when you reach your reproductive age, that's about 300,000 eggs that you have. And then when you reach your 30s, you're looking at half of that, which is about 150,000. Now, although it declines in quantity, it also declines in the quality of the egg. So let's talk about why the quality of the egg declines. Think about it this way. Your egg has been with you since you have been in your mom's tummy. So through all of those life changes, through life stressors, the diets that you're eating, drinking, smoking, being young, right? Teenager, you're in college, you're having a good time, not knowing that you can, affect the quality of your egg. So these things, even pollution, things that you're exposing to your body, plastics and all those things, those can affect the quality of your egg through something called, your body going through inflammatory response, right? So we're going to talk about things that we can do to decrease inflammatory response in our body, because that is known to increase your chances at fertility. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So first, I'm really going to talk about inflammation, because I think that people really don't understand the effects that inflammation has on their body. So when you get a cut, right, you get a cut, what your body does is it literally sends all its energy to that cut to heal that cut. And while it's doing that, other parts of your body, it's not sending energy or resources there because it's taking all that energy to that cut. So when you are in a chronic inflammatory response, your body is always sending resources to decrease that inflammation, right? So then it's taking the resources away from the egg health, from ovulation, which decreases your chance at fertility. So that's why it's important to decrease inflammation in your body, because that improves your fertility. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So first, we're going to start with weight. A BMI of greater than 25 has been linked to having a harder time getting pregnant, and also lower than 17. So being extremely on the small side and being overweight and obese as well. So the point is there is a disruption in the body. There's an inflammatory response. All right. So it's important for you to get into a healthy weight, because that can improve your chance at fertility. Okay. So let's talk about specific foods. I do want to just dive into food and the types of food you should avoid and the types of foods that you should consume. So first, let's talk about foods to avoid. So processed meat. Now, processed meat is a no. in all areas of your life. It's a no. And I know that bacon is good. The sausage is good. So yummy, but so bad for you. Processed meat has been linked to every bad thing you can think of. It's been linked to it all. So put down the bacon. The second one is refined carbs. So that's your white bread, your white rice, your white pasta, right? So those can spike your blood sugar and cause insulin resistance, which is linked to PCOS, right? So polycystic ovarian syndrome. And PCOS is a big cause of infertility. I made a full video talking about PCOS and explaining and dissecting that. So you can check that out next. So next are sugary foods and drinks. And we know all about all these processed sugary foods and drinks. You know, your juice, soda, cookies, cakes, candy, all those things. They spike your blood sugar. They cause your hormones to be irregular. It's very important for you to limit these altogether. And then lastly are trans fat. So your margarine, your butter, processed snacks, right? Your Cheetos and all those type of things. They're very high in trans fat, which don't just affect your heart. They also affect your fertility hormones. Okay, so now let's focus on foods that we can eat, all right? Foods that we can digest that can promote fertility and also promote egg and sperm health for men as well. Okay, so first are foods that are high in polyphenols, foods that are plant-based, okay? So your vegetables, your fruits, whole grains as well, so your beans and things like that, olive oil. Now, what these type of foods do is they decrease inflammation, meaning that your body is able to focus its energy pretty much everywhere that it needs to be. So second are healthy fat. Fats are quite literally amazing. I'm so glad we are finally debunking this thing that fats are bad for you. Fats are great for you. It's the type of fats that you intake that matters. So fats such as olive oil, your avocado, your nuts, those are good for you because they support hormone regulation and production, and they are great overall for your reproductive health. Okay, so next are omega-3s. So omega-3s help balance hormones and improve quality health. See, I'm talking a lot about quality health because that's really what we want to focus on if we are having children later, right? So these are foods that your sardines, your fish, right? Your salmon, for my vegans and my vegetarians, your flax seeds. Those are really, really high in omega-3s. So next are vitamin C and antioxidants. So the foods that are high in this are your fruits. So citrus foods, say that 10 times, citrus fruits. Your bell peppers, right? Your berries and foods of that nature. So those help pretty much prevent oxidative stress from your eggs. Okay, and then lastly are gut healthy foods. Now, when your gut is healthy, you are able to absorb nutrients better. That's just the best way that I can explain that. So foods that are good for your gut are probiotics, prebiotics. So your yogurt, your kimchi, your sauerkraut. And you can also take probiotics as well, probiotic supplements as well. Those are really, really good for your gut health and also really good for your vaginal health as well. So those are all the foods that you should try your hardest to implement to try to improve your fertility. Okay, so next we're going to talk about exercise. Now, there is a fine line between helpful and harmful. So that's why it's really important for you to stick to moderate exercising. So walking, you're jogging, you don't want to train for a marathon during this time. Like when you are putting your body through an intense workout, it increases your cortisol level. So you do want to make sure that you are not overexerting yourself, meaning that you're not overworking your body. Because when you increase your cortisol level, it disrupts your hormones, it lowers your progesterone, and it decreases your chance of getting pregnant. Some women, they notice an irregular cycle, that they're missing cycles when they overwork their body, right? And it's also not just women, men as well. It can actually lower sperm quality when you overwork your body. So stress can come in different forms, including exercise. That's why you want to make sure that you are exercising moderately, which leads us next to stress. You want to decrease your stress. Stress is, again, going to increase that cortisol. Cortisol is just cortisol is just never good in every areas. Too much cortisol is just never good in every area. So how can you decrease your stress? Well, we really want to try not to decrease stress. We want to try our hardest to eliminate stress. But of course, in the society that we live in, it's very difficult to eliminate stress altogether with all the hustle and bustle and going. So you want to take the time out to have moments of peace, moments of rest. So whether you need to get up and have some time to yourself and just do some deep breathing, where you're not bombarded by all the stress and trauma of the world and all these things, all the news in the world, you want to make sure that you're having moments of peace and rest. So 10 minutes every morning can kind of help regulate that cortisol level. Meditation, going for walks in nature, gentle movement. So doing exercises that really just kind of stretch your body and helps you naturally lower that cortisol level. The goal is to lower that cortisol level. And most of all, getting good quality sleep. Getting good quality sleep. We undermine the importance of getting good quality sleep, and not just falling asleep, but staying asleep. Having periods of 7 to 8 hours where you are asleep, you wake up after that 8 hours. Not that you're wake up every 2 hours or you wake up every 4 hours. That's also why it's important for you to not drink water 2 hours, not drink any liquids 2 hours before going to bed. So doing things like that, not being on your phone, no screen time or watching TV an hour before bed, completely clearing your mind so that you can be ready to just calm your mind down so that you're not waking up in the middle of the night. And also limiting your caffeine and alcohol. Both of these can actually elevate your cortisol levels. So the bottom line is your body would not think fertility is important if it's always in a fight or flight mode. It's not going to put fertility first, right? If it's always trying to do other things. So you want to do everything you can to have your body recognize this body is able to carry a baby, quite literally. So that's just the way that the body does. The body is amazing. The brain is amazing. The brain is the one that sends the hormones and it sends all these receptors and it knows what your body can handle. So you want to do your best to send the signal that your body is able to do this. Okay, so what about vitamins, you may ask? Can taking some vitamins improve your chance at fertility? Well, let's talk about it. So vitamin D actually helps to regulate reproductive hormones and it supports embryo implantation. So when that sperm and egg come together, it supports those joining and implanting to your uterus. Most people are deficient in vitamin D, so it's important for you to get checked. And next is vitamin E. So vitamin E is really good for not just egg quality, but also sperm quality as well. And then next are zinc and selenium. These two are really great for ovulation and sperm production. And then next, iron is very good for ovulation and also helps to prevent anemia, which can impact fertility. And last but not least, supplements are great, but they are not a quick fix. It needs to be balanced with a healthy diet and lifestyle. You can't just take these supplements by themselves without the other factors. And also, I do want you to consult a healthcare provider before starting any supplements, as I am not your provider. 1, 2, I am so big on doing a full blood test, a full blood workup to see what you are lacking in before suggesting that you take supplements. So it's important for you to check up with your healthcare provider before starting supplements. Okay, so how long should you try before getting help? So when you are younger than 35, we always say try for 12 months. 12 months of you actively trying to conceive, meaning you understand your fertility window and you are actively having intercourse during those times and you are eating healthy, doing the best you can, and yet you're not able to conceive. So after 12 months, we always say seek a specialist if you're younger than 35. If you're older than 35, we say 6 months. Now, here's the thing. You can always talk to your provider before even attempting to try to conceive to check your ovarian reserve. All right. So your ovarian reserve. So this can kind of help with family planning, right? So it can kind of let you know your fertility potential. It can let you know if you need any treatment options. It can let you know if you need to egg freeze for later in the future. This is a good way to get started with your family planning even before you decide to conceive. Getting an ovarian reserve test is always something that can and should be done if you're able to. So here are some of the common tests that your provider may test to check your ovarian reserve. So AMH, the anti-Müllerian hormone, which can check how many eggs you have left. Follicle stimulating hormone, which can check how well your ovaries are functioning. Your estrogen tests, which are crucial for ovulation and implantation. Your LH test, your luteinizing hormone, helps to determine if and when you're ovulating. Progesterone test, which measures progesterone levels to confirm if ovulation has occurred. And then an ultrasound to count the numbers of your small follicles in your ovaries, which gives a direct look at your egg reserve. These tests can predict fertility potential. They can also help determine potential issues early on so you can implement early treatments, early interventions, and it can also help you family plan, meaning you can freeze eggs for later in the future. So these tests are worth a consideration, especially if you plan on having children in the future. Okay, so next we're going to talk about environmental factors, and we're going to focus on the things that we can control, right? So we can't really control a lot of the pollution and those type of things, but what you can control are things that like smoking. So you want to cut out smoking altogether. Marijuana, hookah, cigarettes, those things are known to decrease the quantity of your ovarian reserve, meaning it quite literally just gets rid of your eggs, and it also decreases the quality. So you want to stop smoking as early on as you possibly can. And then next are decreasing our exposure to BPA and phthalates. And those are found in a lot of our beauty products. It's found in a lot of our plastics, things that we use to warm foods and things like that. So you want to stick to like glass or porcelain, things that do not leach chemicals, okay? So you want to stop using that as much as you can. And lastly is alcohol. You want to completely eliminate alcohol, especially when you're serious about fertility, because one, it can delay conception, and also for men, it can reduce sperm production. But outside of that, alcohol has been known to have an effect on the fetus as early as week 1, right? And week 1 is when you had your last period. So you want to make sure that you are getting the best quality egg as possible, and alcohol can actually affect that. Okay? Now we're going to talk about some myth busting, and you are going to tell me if this is a fact or a myth. So first myth is, if you have irregular periods, you cannot get pregnant. Fact or myth? That is a myth, okay? People who have irregular periods have been known to have a harder time getting pregnant, but pregnancy is still very much possible. Fact or myth? Certain foods can instantly boost fertility. This one is a toss-up because there is no single magic food that instantly boosts your fertility. However, a balanced, well-rounded diet is known to help your reproductive health altogether. The key word here is instantly. So instantly taking this food, you're going to be fertile. No, but if you have a well-balanced diet all throughout and you're eating healthy, you're eating your vegetables, then it improves your fertility. Men's fertility doesn't decline with age. Fact or myth? So while men produce sperm for life, the quality of the sperm declines with age, which can affect a woman's chance of having a miscarriage, and it can cause genetic conditions in a fetus. So which fertility myths have you heard? Drop them in the comments below. Now, I really want to share a success story because these are important, right? So my coworker was sharing with me how she tried for years to have a baby, and she went to different doctors, and she went to a fertility doctor who pretty much put her on an anti-inflammatory diet. And the doctor told her to cut out meat completely. Well, after 6 months, she was able to have her first child, and she now has 2 kids. So I shared this story to say that there is hope. Although it may seem as if some of these interventions are so little, I want to tell you that small changes can make a huge difference. And if you are in your fertility journey, my heart is with you, and I am praying for you during this time. And I do hope that you take really good care of yourself. So share your fertility journey in the comments. It's really important for us to share our stories with each other because it helps us realize that we are not alone in this journey. And it's so important for us to not feel isolated, especially with something like this. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Please subscribe for more on women's health, and I will see you next time. You take care of yourself.